Watch his blade explode in my face.
Can't believe this is happening.
Yeah! All right, another Saturday at the shop that I'm not working on the S14. But today's a holiday, I only have a couple hours, and I've been kind of obsessed with wasting time and effort on my daily/tow project, the Raptor. So this is a first gen, so it's a V8, not that EcoBoost stuff. For the most part, I picked it up bone stock because it has an Edelbrock E4 supercharger. Goal for the truck is I want to build what I'm gonna call like the ultimate tow and expedition vehicle. Something I could tow my cars to the track with and also take out, go on adventures, go do camping trips and all that jazz, which seems super trendy, but I'm gonna try to make it look cool.
Bro, I'm on the phone.
So it's just me and Champ here today. Want to address a couple things. You know, you start noticing things that you want to upgrade. First thing that I noticed is while cruising on like dark highways, you can't always have the Pro 6 light bar on. So mega unnecessary, but it looks pretty rad. And the stock headlights are a bit underwhelming in both just how they look and light output. The later model trucks, the like 2013 and 14 came with these really nice projector headlights that I've wanted, but I can't really find the OEM ones and they're super pricey. So I stumbled upon this company called Raptor Retrofit. They make headlights that are also on Ken Block's Raptor tracks, so I'm sure they're good. They're basically 2013-14 style headlights with an upgraded Evo X projector in it. I opted to their small upgrade, which is this amber C-clamp. Their lights go everything from like, you can get these super plain and stock looking all the way to like really wild with different colored beams and all this other jazz. But I went with something pretty plain. I'm sure the C-clamps are even a little bit too much for me, but if you're interested in them, check out their site. They got a bunch of stuff from like mild to wild, so you can check that out. But looks super simple. Comes with a koozie, which will come in handy today. Their wiring harness looks really nice and simple, labeled. So this should only take a couple minutes. I'm gonna toss these on really quick and then move on. Just got the lights on. Super easy install, and I even forgot to mention one thing that's actually really awesome. They come pre-aimed. The dude who owns Raptor Retrofit actually will ask you like what your suspension setup is and how you plan on having the front of the truck, and he'll actually adjust the beam so that it's not like pointing straight up in the air or down at the ground. Yeah, super stoked, got them on, looks good. Definitely updates the front of the truck a lot. All right, so I still want to finish up all the wiring. I haven't wired up the side lights on the M rack yet because I want to get my rear light set up. I have these KC C2 LEDs. Are actually really simple because the front runner rack is really modular, so it has spaces for carriage bolts. These line up right here, and I could actually just mount these lights really simple, slide them in, and then I can mount these lights right here off the back. And these will be able to be adjustable, so I can point them down. And this will be really nice. This is what I want for loading trailers up at night and stuff. Out here in California, you do a lot of track days and stuff in the winter when the days are shorter, but the weather's better. It'll come in handy. Gonna set those things up really quick and then start getting ready to do the wiring. Get out of here. All right, update. That was actually way easier than I thought. So I mounted the lights. KC sends it with this massive harness that's like 30 feet long. So you connect the two wires under here, ran them along the rack up top, and then shot down under the bed. Tucked nice up here, so it goes through the body in some parts. Ran it up over the frame rail over there, and then the harness comes up right here. And then there are those connectors again that Ford provides us with, so we don't actually need to like do any of the other stuff. And KC's nice enough that it comes with like fuses and a relay and a switch and all that, but I'm gonna chop it around here, tie it into those switches, and then we're done. So that's super easy. I'm actually pretty pumped that it's easier than I thought because I'm going to the track on Saturday. This will be rad to actually have functional. Man, I'm so happy this thing comes with those switches because I suck at wiring and I sure do hate it. Well, Champ's super over it, so I'm gonna get out of here for the day, come back, figure out how to exchange that deck thing for a different one, tackle the side wiring, and then keep moving along. All right, so I finally figured out how I'm gonna manage this storage situation. After we got the rooftop tent set up, the one thing I had to do was ditch my tonneau cover, which is basically, you know, the cover that goes here and you could lock all your stuff in. Without that, whenever you have stuff in the bed, you have to watch out that's gonna get stolen, you're gonna take it out, put it in the cab. I finally found possibly the only tonneau cover that'll work for this application from Truck Covers USA, and they make, it's like a roll down gate, sort of like a garage door. Probably doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna install it and then you'll see what I mean. Just got to pull off the wiring harness for the light, pull the tent off, pull the rack off, and then should be fairly straightforward. Say that now, check back in like 7 hours when I'm frustrated and hate doing this. All right, so we got the tent and the rack off. Now, if we pull these channels out, the sliders will lay around on here, and then we'll just mark where these are mounted, like so, and then mount the rails on top of the sliders for the tonneau cover, and then put it all back together. All right, I got this thing all buttoned up. It looks great. And now I could leave things like my toolbox and spare wheels and gas and all that other stuff. The way it works is super simple. Basically, that, and just pull straight out. You just kind of put this lock in place. And for all you guys out there that have pickup trucks, it definitely sucks when you don't have any way to lock anything in the back, especially living in Southern California. You leave anything in the bed of your truck, it's getting stolen. So super pumped on that. I just have to do one last thing, which is this piece here that covers the roll up. Have to modify it a bit so it can fit around the rails. Just gonna do that real quick, do a quick hacksaw angle grinder mod, and then we're all set. All right, and that's it. So we got the Raptor back in the shop. Did a couple off-road excursions with Larry Chen and the boys. Truck's great on the trails, except I noticed that these factory Fox shocks are super clunky and pretty blown out. Truck only has 62,000 miles on it, so that's pretty disappointing. I did some research and figured out what suspension setup I wanted to do. Picked up some nice Icon shocks. 3.0 bypass coilover in the front, with an external reservoir, a 3.0 shock in the rear with the external reservoir, and some billet upper A-arms, because the factory lower arms on the Raptor are pretty stout, but the uppers pretty puny, stamped steel. So this should be a really nice upgrade. The factory springs are actually 20% stiffer than stock, which I like because once I put on these nice projector headlights, the beam pattern is so good that when you step on the brakes, you can actually see how much the beams go up and down, and it's kind of gross. So step one, we're gonna take apart the front suspension. The front coilovers and the arms should be fairly simple to put in. They come with all the bracketry to mount the reservoir. The rear, I have a whole different setup with some bump stops because I use this thing to tow a lot. They have a progressive rate leaf spring as well as some air bumps. This way, when you tow, it doesn't sag too bad and it's really stable, is my main goal with this thing. It's late, it's Friday night, I wanna get going on this thing. So my goal tonight, just to tear it down, get the thing ready to install the suspension, and then Sunday come back, toss it all together. Hopefully this thing will be rocking. Back Sunday morning, and I brought some assistants today. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Got the actual Icon dudes out here. Ran into them at our event yesterday. They were nice enough to say that they'd come lend a hand for this install, and I wasn't about to turn that down. So I left this thing on Friday night, got the front end torn apart. Now we're just gonna slam this thing back together. What's up, dude?
Nothing. How you
You don't want to be on camera?
No.
Well, now you are.
I'm John Schaefer. I drive a Drift League series.
What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Headley, marketing manager over at Icon. Came out to help Vin get this kid on this Raptor here.
It's cool. I've never worked on this truck before other than like bolt-on stuff, so really stoked to have people here that sort of know what they're doing. We got this all dialed in. The install wasn't that bad. I was struggling with it when I was by myself, but having an extra set of hands really came in handy. I think that took like an hour and a half. It's not too bad. It's my fault for not having the right tools. You have to trim a little bit of the top of the frame rail spring perch to get the reservoir through.
So we're gonna want to go ahead and give it kind of a load profile here and allow for some clearance.
We just didn't have the right tools to do it. What did we put in here?
So what we're working with right here is an Icon 3.0 series coilover. Basically got a main piston that's a true 3-inch diameter piston as opposed to the OE stuff. And it's got a secondary piston that engages an upper cup up there, so when you're really getting wild off-road and you're close to bump travel, damping ability goes through the roof exponentially. We're getting about 11.5 inches of wheel travel out of the setup, and it's pretty solid. So this is our CDC valve, our compression damping control. Gives you 10 settings of basically ride stiffness, if you will. So you can have this thing really soft and riding great on the street, and then when you go out playing in the dirt, you crank it up accordingly, and allows you to hit bigger stuff faster, soaks it all up. Actually, a aluminum upper arm that's been CNC machined. Alignment adjustment up there, so you can adjust this stuff on the truck and really dial in your alignment to get more caster and get better handling characteristics. Can't really beat it. So.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to get these things off-road and see how they handle, but first we have to do the rear still. This looks easier than the front though, so we'll see how this goes. Got the rears in the air, getting ready to pull the shock out, and just want to take a look at these things, man.
Yeah, buddy.
These look extra serious.
These are our RXT 3.0 series bypasses for the Raptor rear. They are a bypass shock as opposed to the shock that comes on this thing. This is a 3-tube bypass, so you've got 2 compression tubes and 1 rebound tube.
Cool.
And what that lets you do is control the feel of the truck and what the shock's doing in a certain amount of the compression travel, and then in another area of the compression travel, as well as rebound control as well. So it allows you to control how fast the wheel falls away from the wheel well, which dictates ride quality and everything like that. So
awesome.
When you're off-road, you always want the wheels to get back on the ground as soon as you can, to keep traction going, keep everything moving forward. Obviously, when you want ride comfort on the street, things change a little bit, so we let you do it all.
Sweet. Well, hell yeah, man. This looks like the rears may be a little bit easier than the front, so let's get after it.
Yeah, buddy.
So Ford is nice enough to do something where this bolt for the leaf spring comes out on the side of the gas tank. But the only option is either drop your gas tank or cut the bolt. Thanks, Ford. Watch his blade explode in my face. Yeah, it's not big enough.
2 hours later.
We got a hammer out here.
All right, so we got the leaf springs out, and you could see there's clearly a difference. The stock one runs 2 leaves and a overload spring, while these have quite a bit more.
The factory leaf here, you've got basically 2 springs, and then you're engaging the overload. With the Icon spring, you've got much more progressiveness in the ride before you're actually getting to that really stiff part of the spring rate and getting to a close to bottom situation.
So this will actually ride fairly similar to stock, but once you load it up, it'll have a bit more rate to it.
It's actually going to ride better than stock because we're lightening up the spring rate over the factory stuff. But again, we build it in so you're not blowing through the travel of the truck and things like that.
Spring signs. Let's get these things in. Oh man, it looks freaking sick. I love that it's like no longer, it used to be like super dragster raked and now it's nice and level.
Yeah, now you
looks great.
From the old man stance to the go fast stance.
Dude, look how sick this looks. You can see the reservoirs and the bypasses. It looks super badass. I haven't even driven it yet, but I'm stoked just based on the upgrade. That's so truck rice of me. This looks rad. I can't wait to get this on trails. Thanks so much.
Yeah, buddy.
Would have been impossible to do without you. So much work. Super pumped we got this all done. Just gonna go over, torque everything, get in alignment, and go hit some trails.
There we go.
But there's actually better content on this channel, like Garage and other build shows that we do. And Brian directs Gymkhana, so he does Carcane Rehab, and he doesn't really do a lot, but he films it better than me. Tune back in, subscribe, like, comment, watch the videos, do the thing, and we'll continue to build cars, because that's the name of the channel. That's it, man. I don't know what else to say.